Truth tellers, welcome in. I'm Torre. It's time to talk about Black feelings. It's time to talk about Black love. It's time to uplift the people. It's time to argue. Truth Talks is the most truthful, most Black, most argumentative show on the net. And we got a lot to get into today. Suge Knight, Black trauma, Black love. It's all happening. This is going to be the greatest conversation you've heard all day. Let's get into it. Truth Talk starts now.
Are y'all ready to roll? Let's go.
Let's get into the trending topics of the day because the world is going nuts about the Diddy trial. Capricorn Clark and other Bad Boy assistants have been testifying about life inside Bad Boy. It is an insane situation. Arson, extortion, kidnapping, endless hours, constant violence on planes, on the ground. Diddy seems like a monster. Kid Cudi called him a Marvel supervillain, which sent the courtroom into hysterics, but still, it's kind of true to the extent that Suge Knight was considered the wildest, most violent man in the industry, and he briefly kidnapped me. We could get into that later in the segment.
What?
But everyone's like, what? The Jimmy, that's true. I didn't interview Malcolm X, but I did truly get kidnapped by Suge Knight. But Suge just told Harvey Levin from TMZ, hey, everyone thought Death Row Records was bad. How you feel about Bad Boy now? Shy, how do you feel about Bad Boy now?
I mean, listen, Suge is from Los Angeles, okay? Compton's Hub City, baby. Listen, if you're from LA, Compton is still Hub City in LA, Torre. Don't start with me. Do not start with me, Torre.
It's deeper than LA for him. He's a blood from Compton.
Suge Knight is, I understand. Remember, my father is also a founder of one of the biggest blood gangs. So I'm very familiar with Suge Knight, who was a good friend of mine as well and very protective over me in many essence before even going to prison. But back to what we're talking about, I still believe that Suge Knight and Death Row was still the biggest and the baddest and the most feared record label and individual that has existed in the music industry. Do I think that Diddy has done some things that also had him being very much feared? Absolutely. But if you look at, a lot of the history of the more hardcore walk in a club, walk in a room, and you got brothers just straight in fear. I mean, Suge would walk in places and dudes would literally just shiver. Suge would walk up and just snatch somebody's chain off their neck, and there was nothing anybody was going to say or do. This is a guy who not only is his presence, this dude is like 6'something", 2'8". This is a big dude, had a very dominance when he walked in the room, but his personality and his resources and his gang lifestyle and mentality was something that people fear and still, believe it or not, fear to this day with him being in prison. Yeah, people are opening up and talking more smack about him because he's behind these bars thinking he's never getting out. But that brother still has a lot of call when it comes to the streets.
Sarah.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference for me when I think about this whole Diddy situation that's happening in Suge, I think about how this man was all brawn, whereas Diddy is brain and bank account. Because let's be clear, first of all, you can do a lot more when you have more money, but I almost feel like Suge Knight loved the idea that he was the person that everyone was afraid of, whereas Diddy's a little more cloak and daggers. It's a little more hidden. You only really know if you know, which in my opinion, is smarter. And I feel like when you're the person at the forefront, punching people in the face, dangling people off of a balcony, I think we've all heard allegedly that he dangled Vanilla Ice off of a balcony. Like, that's kind of sloppy to me. You're supposed to have people to do that for you. So, was it worse? I think it was more direct. I think it was more in your face. I think it was play with me if you want to. But I think Diddy's had more money to just be more cloak and daggers about it.
Dimitri.
Ooh,
No, he did not.
Not even a joke. Not even a joke.
I know he did not.
Oh, Dimitri Wiley, please go.
No, I agree with everybody here. I think the idea of Diddy versus Suge Knight both was demasculation from, they both demasculated their victims. Suge did it in a physical way, like Dr. Sarah Fontaine was saying, and Diddy was more mental. I don't know if you've ever seen a man uncomfortable in a room not just out of fear he'll be hurt, but fear he's seen as a victim. I think Diddy had that way back when they was doing the TV shows and he was sending people across the country to get cheesecake and shit. I don't know if y'all remember that, but you know,
everybody remembers that.
Diddy just had a way of playing in people's minds. But you know, it takes me to an interesting perspective about the whole thing. I think the idea of it, like, it makes me look at our society, like our culture, like how have we idolized this overinflation of power? Like it's blurred the morale between what's actually acceptable due to fame, if that makes sense to you guys. Like fame is now giving gateway to all of this, and it's kind of crazy to me.
When Death Row was really hot, I interviewed Suge as part of a story about somebody else, a mentor of Suge's. I'm in his office at Death Row, and his mentor was suing him. And we did a 45-minute interview, and I said, so what's up with the lawsuit? And he was like, what are you talking about? And, you know, I was really, some would say dumb, some would say aggressive, some would say dumb. I'm sitting in his office. Nobody knows that I'm there. It's midnight. And I'm like, you know what lawsuit I'm talking about. I'm truncating the story. He told me he grabbed me by the shoulder and dug his hand into like my shoulder blade and like pulled me into the corner of the room where there was a fish tank, which at this moment I'm thinking, oh, it's a piranha tank. And he's going to freaking put my hand in there or something. I thought he was going to beat me up. I was definitely like, if I leave here with only one broken bone, at one point there was somebody who was clearly a blood right now standing there. And he's like, as soon as you say anything, I will go beat the crap out of him. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to die tonight. And nobody even knows that I'm here in Death Row right now. This is a true story. I can tell the much longer story later on, but we want to move on. But that really happened. And yes, you're completely right. Suge's reputation was known and public, and people were scared of him. And yes, he brought the blood and the street energy into the game in a way that nobody else had, certainly not at the executive level.
Club, back in the day, I was young and clubbing. I'm still young, but I don't be clubbing no more. But I was out to be clubbing and be out and about with a group of friends. And Suge would literally walk from his table to our table and literally stand in front of like the whole bottle service and be like, yo, Shy, with this presence and this voice that the music is loud, but all you heard was his voice. I'm not playing. And I would be like, hey, what's going on? He'd be like, you good? Are you good? So everybody can feel the presence. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm good. All right. Well, if not, I'll be right there. And when I tell you that was just a presence that my father had, but when I wasn't with Daddy, Suge had that. And I know he was this, big vicious man. But when it came to me, I experienced this big, like gorilla type of teddy bear because he was never disrespectful and never very aggressive with me. But he made sure everybody around me understood what motherfucking time it was if they were to some kind of way disrespect me. So for that, I got to say, I appreciated that. And I know I used to be out and about and love when I see him because I'm like, he's going to come in here and shut shit down in the event that I need him to. And so shout out to Big Suge. I did appreciate them days.
Well, now you got two more men who will jump on somebody to protecting you.
Yes.
Because we all love you here too. Speaking of people who were wild in the streets, DMX. Before he was a rapper, he was a mugger who did not need a gun. His reputation preceded him. He would roll up on people, be like, run it. And they would run it. They would know, X got hands, it will knock you out. It will be a problem. Don't let it happen to you. A lot of several things of his memorabilia has been put up for auction. Cassette tapes of him rhyming early in the 90s, flyers from early in his career, some handwritten lyric sheets, a VHS tape of him. If you have a VHS player, you could actually see some of these early videos of him. So now this memorabilia is coming from a friend of X's. So the money will go to the person who owns the stuff now. That's the way auctions work. But X's first wife, Tashara Simmons, told TMZ she is very upset about all of this. She thinks the things should be given to X's 15 children. That is her prerogative to feel that way. But Dimitri, how do you feel about the friend selling the memorabilia and not giving it to the kids? Like, you agree with Tashara or not?
I'm gonna be honest. It's in possession. The thing about it is there's no moral compass to what you should do for your dollar. Cause the thing about it's heartbreaking. Like I get it, it's heartbreaking. But honestly, I'm not surprised. Like in the Black community, if you specifically focus on the Black community, we prepare for death emotional, never economically. Like we just don't believe we gonna die. Like it's our time. Like no life insurance, no XYZ. And this is very common in the Black community. So when things like this happen, we start to feel like, oh, it should happen in death. When in all actuality, it wasn't happening in life either. Like y'all ain't had shit in life either. Like, but I digress.
Sorry.
I just want to piggyback off what Dimitri said. I feel like if there was a trust or a will, then possibly they would be able to follow exactly, X's desires and his will for his children. I think that when you get to this place of post-death, again, because we are a very interventive community and not a preventative or a preparation community, we run into these things, especially when you start to talk about men. And all due respect to X, love X, right? He was one of the best. When you have men who have multiple kids by multiple women, this also becomes an issue because you don't have one wife, which is the go-to, right? To say, hey, listen, my husband and I had these conversations and we have all these kids and this is what we would like to be done and contribute to our children. You have multiple women who are mothers of their kids or baby mamas that you also have to consider what do they want with their kids. So what am I saying is that blended families can work, but when you start to have these multiple baby mamas, these broken homes and broken families, this is a direct result of not having your shit ready and also procreating in ways where, things are spread out so thin that everyone takes a loss, just like in this case. All the kids are taking a loss because nobody is going to reap the benefits of this man's legacy and long, hard-worked career that X has obviously worked hard for, and no one gets it but his friend selling the memorabilia.
But honestly, I feel like we have a generational flaw. We have a cultural flaw in the sense where they don't teach financial literacy inside of school. The only way that you learn financial literacy is if you outwardly go and seek it, you have a mentor in it, or someone in your family is involved in it. And unfortunately, for a lot of the Black families, number one, we're all focused on make the money. We don't talk about keeping the money, sustaining the money, or leaving money behind. We talk about what do we have right now? What cars, what jewelry, what this, what that, especially inside of this industry. And so when you think about how different music legends and their estates, we've seen this before with Aretha Franklin, with Michael Jackson, with Prince, there are so many different people that were not able to pass down their estates to their family or their children because they themselves were not financially literate. There are so many different ways that we could set ourselves up if we knew the loopholes, because please believe these wealthy people, I know wealthy people that can qualify for food stamps. Okay, let's just keep it real. There's a lot of loopholes that we're not clear about, but to keep it really basic, a custodial account for your children is amazing. A life insurance policy on ourselves as parents, or as we get older, for our families, on ourselves and on our children, because you can also use a life insurance policy, something that you can borrow against and put the money back, but it still grows as if you never really took the money. There's so much to get into, but I would say those are two really great starting points. And trusts are great for taxes. That's all I'm going to say. Speak to a financial advisor.
Truth Talks keeps it real. I really appreciate the conversation, the love, the spirit. Dimitri, Sarah, Dr. Cheyenne, Brian, thank you so much. We're going to have amazing conversations like this every night, 8 p.m. Like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube at Truth Talks-Live. You can always watch us here in the Black Star Network right after Roland Martin Unfiltered, or at youtube.com/Truth Talks-Live. Support Black media at the links on your screen. You can advertise on this show and access our 10 million strong audience. We are here every night, 8 p.m. East Coast, West Coast. Get involved. This is the conversation you want to be having, Black America. We're going to be here every night at 8 p.m. And we have chat rooms now where you can come and hang out with the folks. Keep supporting us by telling a friend to tell a friend. Check us out every night, 8 p.m. EST, on the West Coast, 8 p.m. PST. I will see you tomorrow.